Title of the sermon is Angels in the Last Day. You may say, wait a minute, where's the Ecclesiastes series? Aren't we going to finish that? You are. I left 4 chapters for you, hopefully at the feast, to not only read during the feast or before the feast. So we went over the first 8 chapters, and I'm leaving the last 4 for you. It's kind of like I led you to water, now I hope you will drink, even on time of atonement. So, angels in the last days. Can you think of angelic times? How busy are the angels? Do you keep them busy? Oh, we got some volunteers. Yes, I do. I want you to think, as we are now in the fall holy days, and I usually give messages on prophecy, and I want to look at that today because sometimes we can forget just how involved the angelic beings are. This is not a sermon per se about angels. It's not what I'm doing. It's not a sermon for you to go, well, maybe I need to worship angels, when the Bible tells you not to. They even tell you not. They even told the servants of old, don't do that. Stop that. So the time period between the actual return of Christ, which is pictured, doesn't mean it's going to be on the Feast of Trumpets, but it's pictured at trumpets. The time between then and when Satan is bound, or 10 days as it's pictured by atonement, I want you to ruminate on a few things today. Just think about it. Who blows the 7th trumpet? The angel. We don't know it's Gabriel. There's thoughts that way, definitely, because he does announce stuff. 1 Thessalonians 4 and verse 16 shows that it's an angel of God who blows that 7th trumpet. So when we hear it, hopefully we will be changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. Or we will be woken from our sleep, as the Bible references death, and come up out of the grave. My mother used to say I made so much noise I could wake the dead when I was younger. Well, this will actually happen by the blowing of that trumpet by an angel of God. In Matthew 24 and verse 30-31, who rounds up the elect? Who rounds up the elect? Angels. That's what it says. He will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather the elect. They're going to be busy. Who blows the 7 different trumpets in Revelation 8? Angels? This isn't a hard question. You get 100% so far. But who pours out those bowls or plagues in Revelation 16? Ah, there you go again. I have the smartest church. Who binds Satan with chains for 1,000 years? Revelation 20, verse 1 through 3. Who binds him? Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the keys to the bottomless pit, and having a great big old chain in his hand. And he binds him. So as you can see, there's angels in the last days or in the future. They're going to be busy. angels are actually more involved than the elect or the saints. If you look at the progression, the saints or the elect are changed in a moment, twinkling of an eye, raised from the dead. Revelation 19 points that there's a wedding supper that takes place. There's a marriage and a wedding supper. And then, further down in Revelation 19, it shows there's a victorious raid made on the world by Jesus Christ and the saints as they come down and conquer the evil that is there. So the angels are very busy. My question to you, are we living in the last days? I've heard that ever since I was a kid. What about you, Maurice, since you were a teenager? Oh, we're living in the last days. Well, now that I'm 66, I realize I may be living in my last days. You don't know. Asked one of my friends a while back, what's his name? He goes, he's dead. What about her? She's dead. And those are my classmates. Wow. Guess I am getting old. But we look at the world today. We could probably say probably. How much worse can it get? Probably a lot, in time. So, why do I give this message today? Because I think we need it. I certainly need it as I prepare to go to the Feast of Tabernacles, I prepare to keep the Day of Atonement, as I prepare to travel or do whatever we do. Now, in fact, I asked for it today because I have to go up to Vero Beach on the Turnpike and then part of 95 and then back through 95. And I think God knows He needs a lot more angels around Miami and Fort Lauderdale than normal when we drive. Because anybody who's been driving here realizes, wow, did I just see what I thought I saw? So, do you need help? Have you been spiritually beat up lately? Hopefully not physically. Go with me. Or just follow up on the screen here. Because this is such a powerful scripture. Hebrews 1 and verse 13. To which of the angels has he, God, ever said, sit at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool? Talking about Jesus Christ, the previous verses, showing who he actually was. And then he says, are they not, these angels that he had talked about earlier, are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for those who will inherit what? Salvation. Eternal life. I read that and I'm going, all right, my week's going to get better. Because I'm not doing this alone. God has ministering spirits, angels, who are there to help me obtain salvation. Because I can't do it on my own. None of us can do it without Jesus Christ, as we heard earlier. But we may need some protection, guidance, direction, and be stopped. Occasionally, why did that happen? Ministering spirits sent forth, so they were sent to do a mission. And for some of us, it may be mission impossible. But God says, no, it's possible, because I'm going to make sure. Because some of us can really get ourselves in bind sometimes. To minister for those who will, not who might, who will inherit salvation. Man, that makes me feel good. That gives me a pep in my step. Makes me get up a little earlier in the morning. Yeah, I'm not a little strength. But then it also says in Hebrews, if you'll join me in Hebrews 13 and verse 2, do not forget to entertain strangers, for by so doing some have unwittingly entertained angels. Have you? I see some head shaking there, but he says unwittingly. You didn't know. You may know afterwards. You may know at another time and go, how did I get out of that mess? Wow, so God's willing to even send angels into our lives. He said, so you need to be friendly. You don't need to be like, go away, leave me alone. I don't like people. Don't forget to entertain, being friendly, showing yourself, strangers. So they're not William Brown sitting in the back. He's not an angel. Strangers. But yeah, so many times we're kind of like, strangers. He says, here, entertain them. Well, they're not my church. No. Entertain strangers. He may just be sending some angels. That's very powerful. But sometimes when we read the Bible and we look at things, we look how it might affect us. But we read about the angels' involvement. Just because God says, I want you to take care of my people. Don't just gloss over it. Yeah, that's angels. Revelation 5. I don't think I gave you this one. Revelation 5 and verse 6. Get a vision of what's going on up there. And it says, I looked and behold, in the midst of the throne and in the four living creatures and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb, though it had been slain. We know who the lamb is. Having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are 7 spirits of God, sent out into all the earth. Spirits sent out into all the earth? Who are they watching? What are they watching? How about you? Seal sung, somebody's watching you. God says, I got some eyes watching you. That's what God says. Be watching you. And who cannot? Remember, 2 Chronicles 16 and verse 9. 2 Chronicles 16 and verse 9. See if I didn't know if I gave you that or not. Yes, there we go. I love this. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong on behalf of those whose heart are loyal to him. Eyes of the Lord run to and fro over the whole earth, looking for loyalty, looking for those who are faithful. Why? He wants to keep an eye on them. It doesn't say, well, we're just looking over everything. They go to and fro. You remember the story in Job 1 where the angels are coming up, he calls them sons of God in that part. They come and they tell God, and then Satan comes up there with them. He said, what are you doing up here? What have you been doing? And he said, I've been running to and fro over the whole earth. A different mentality. He's not there to help. He's not there to minister. He's there to cause problems. So he's out there too. So God just says, okay, you took a third of mine, guess what? I got 2/3. And I'll keep an eye on mine. I'll keep an eye on mine. That's what this is saying. Go with me to Malachi. Malachi 3. Get back to Malachi. Malachi 3. I find this so interesting. Hopefully you do too. Malachi 3 and verse 16. Then those who feared the Lord spoke to one another. Didn't we talk about communication today? Talking to one another? Then those who feared the Lord spoke to one another, and the Lord listened and heard them. What do you think they're talking about? Spiritual stuff. Him. How he's working in their life. And he heard them. So a book of remembrance was written before him. For those, who's the book for? For those who fear the Lord and who meditate on his name. So God says, give me a notebook. Let me write. No, a book was written in front. Who do you think is writing the book? I think someday we could probably look at the book and have a handwriting artist come in and see if it's God. But what it reads, I hear, it's an angel who's writing down because he's got other angels running around saying, oh, what happened today with him? Psalm 139. Every day was written down. Wow. It's as if roll is being taken. You teachers, do they still do that? Do you still take roll? Every day you do. Okay, so they don't feel alone up there taking roll. Because that's what's being done here. Book of remembrance. Isn't it interesting it comes in Malachi? The Hebrew word for angel in the Old Testament is what? Malach. Malach. And it means messenger. Malach means messenger. Wow, isn't that unique? And in the New Testament, the Greek, it's angelos. Like angel. Angelos. Angel. Messenger. Los Angeles. City of angels. But here, what makes this so is that, and I think I've mentioned it before, I think we actually did a study, but it's been a few years ago, about Malachi. Do you know Malachi's daddy? Do you know his mama? What area did he come from? We know about Jonah. We know exactly where he came from. We know these other prophets here. This is one of, is called the minor prophets of the 12. What do we know about Malachi? Not one single solitary thing. I've read volume after volume, various things, trying to find out. And a few guess, but you know what most say? Probably wasn't a man. It was an angel. Malachi. Would God end his Old Testament books with an angel writing something? It shows they know how to write. They write down here. It shows they keep an eye on everything. Can I prove it? No. But I can't prove it doesn't exist. Malachi. When you read the book with that in thought, you're like, wow. Because he usually does tell something about everyone. We know something about every writer of the books. except Malachi. Melech. Let's look at them. Go with me to Psalm 91. Psalm 91, verse 11. Here it is. You remember when our Messiah, Jesus the Christ, was taken up into went up into the mountains, and then he was taken to a high tower, and Lucifer goes, "Cast yourself down because those angels take care of you." He quoted this very verse here because Satan knew he couldn't go after any of God's people without God's permission. You see that in the book of Job. And Satan was upset at Christ because, go ahead, prove it. Jump off this building, you human being. And see, he said, do it. And Christ said, you should not tempt the Lord your God. But he was wanting him to. Oh, please do it. He wanted to see. And then he's upset because he goes, hey, why shouldn't you? Because he says in verse 11, he shall give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. That's us. That's their jobs. It wasn't just to Christ. I'll read just a little bit more, Orwin. You don't have to worry about this. But in their hands they shall bear you up. Remember the song on Eagle's Wings? Such a powerful rendition. Lest you dash your foot against a stone. Well, I've dashed my foot against a few stones. They weren't there that I know of. But maybe they were. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra and the young lion and the serpent. You shall trample under feet because he has set his love upon you. Therefore, I will deliver you. I have set him on high because he has known me. He shall call me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. He's got angels. That's why we need to cry out to God for help. David knew that many times. He'd say, I'm up to my neck. Need help. Haven't we cried that a few times? I don't know how many times this week I called out to God, God, I need your help. I've got a mess in Bahamas. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying. We go here and I get turned down. And then we try to find somewhere, I get turned down. Then I go to this other place, I get accepted. Then there was a great flood night before last and flooded out the place that I had found. And then I'm going, what? And then the woman from the first place called and she goes, we're going to take all your people over here. I said, I don't even know that it happened. I had to call over there. Yeah, it happened. I said, God, what if we, just say, kind of like Peter, it's your feast. All we're going to do is have your feast. So now everything is like, wow, back where it should have been in the first place. Psalm 34. Psalm 34. Psalm 34 and verse 7. It says, the angel of the Lord encamps all around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Ooh. You know what it does? It just gives us license. Gives us license. Not to commit sin, but license to go and live our lives knowing that the adversary can only come so far. Stop it. That's really great. That does empower us. That does help us think. It shouldn't cause us to be reckless. But what it does, it shows us. Let's go over to Matthew. Matthew. Get back to Matthew 18. One verse. Matthew 18 and verse 10. Take heed that you do not despise one of these little ones. I'll let you figure out who the little ones are. For I say to you that in heaven, this is Jesus Christ saying this. This isn't like Matthew. Well, I think I'll tell a little story here. This is red letter in my Bible. Jesus Christ is giving them, us, an insight into this incredible goings on up there. He says, for I say to you that in heaven their angels always see the face of my Father who is in heaven. If that isn't guardian angels, I don't know what is. Maybe I'll be corrected by someone. I don't know. But to me, that's a guardian angel. You just feel a lot stronger right now. You should. You should. It's in there to empower us, because this is what Jesus Christ said. He's up there. He knows. Always. He didn't say, well, you know, he visits once a week. It says he always sees the face of the Father, who has total control. Man, that is such a beautiful thing. I hope one day I get to meet my angel. He may take me in the corner and go, do you know how much work you gave me? You fell off this building. You got electrocuted. You did this and this and this. I'm just, huh? Oh, yes, yes. I had quite a few of those. Yeah, total three in cars in 1 year. It was all I could do to keep you. How about you? He's got some stories. Yours has some stories that are unique to you. And you know what's wonderful? It's not over yet. It's not over yet. You know, it's interesting. We think nothing of saying or asking God to send his angels for protection. Haven't we all heard that? We've heard it in closing prayers. We've heard it in, you know, people saying that to us. We should say it. God sent his angels around because he's got so many of them. They're not hanging around playing cards. No, they're messengers. They just constantly seem to love helping people, helping God's saints. As a matter of fact, you even see in Revelation, you see in some of the books where, you know, it says we've entertained angels unaware. Yeah, if we really saw an angel, what would we be doing? Funny. They are real. They work. And they're just not for end-time events. Because they will play, as I've read earlier, and I just barely touched on all the things that they're involved with in the last days. But boy, they are involved in our lives. So even though tragic things may happen in our life, they're there. They're there. It's God's will. We have to accept it. But he's just there. They're ministering spirits. Remember? That's so powerful. Ministering saints to help get you to the Feast of Tabernacles. Ministering saints to get you home today. Ministering saints to even look after your family. Isn't that beautiful? Ministering saints to give you a bodyguard when you're too dumb to hire one yourself. Remember William in Haiti? We had to get you a bodyguard to get you to the airport. Did we lack faith? No. It was kind of a smart thing to do when you had people kidnapping people. And, you know, William is an attractive looking guy. But there are precautions. We don't just leave our doors unlocked at night, do we? No. We could say, well, God put an angel right by that door tonight. Oh, just leave the door open. Let's put on some music. Let the whole neighborhood know they can come over and party and we can sleep. No. That's not it. Excuse me. But we have that. And it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing. I tell you this at this time just because I want you to feel good. As we go into the fall holy days, the last of his holy days, we've got 3 more to have to celebrate. We have help. A lot of help. Let's go as I wrap this up. Go with me to Hebrews. Back to Hebrews. Remember we were in Hebrews where it's talking about what? Ministering spirits. Talking about entertain angels unaware. Let's go back to Hebrews 12. Hebrews 12. Verse 22, as he talks about us worshiping here today. And when we worship, we don't go to some mountain of Mount Sinai like it is, but we come before God. We ask his presence here. And in verse 22, he explains that to us. Hebrews 12, verse 22, New King James says, but you have come to Mount Zion. Yes, it's up there. That's where it started. And to the city of the living God. That means God's not living down here right now. The heavenly Jerusalem. That's also. Maurice, I think one time you gave a message on the duplication of the temple and the Ark of the Covenant and how it's a replica of that up there. And you came to Hebrews 12 and gave that one time, I remember. The heavenly Jerusalem, to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly and church of the firstborn who are registered in heaven, to God, the judge of all, to the spirits of just men made perfect. Just men made perfect. As Neil was talking about. Because it's God's wish that we strive for perfection. And he knows we're going to fail. But he says, I got help for you. Here they are. And innumerable. I love how that's innumerable. I can't count them. But then, go with me to Revelation 5. Revelation 5, verse 6. We get a view of the place up there. Is that right? Revelation 5. Or 11, excuse me. Yeah, I had that. I read that earlier. It said, then I looked and I heard the voice of many angels around the throne, living creatures and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000s and thousands of thousands, which 10,000 times 10,000 is 100 million. 100 million angels, and then there's thousands more of that hanging around up there. Wow. All at God and Christ beck and call. Go. He needs help. She needs help. They've called and cried out for help. I don't think they're standing around. No, you go. No, you go. I don't want to go down. I don't go to Florida. I only go over here. No. They're ready. And they can get there like that. And this is what God is trying to tell us. Remind us this time of the year that, hey, we're in this thing together till the very end, till all these things in Revelation come to be. It's pretty unique. Pretty unique. There was a country song many years ago. Come by the group Alabama, my wife's favorite group, country group, called "There Are Angels Among Us." Anybody remember that song? Ever hear that song? Neil goes, "Nope, didn't come on my radio." There's angels among us, and they actually were referencing young people who were like angels, like young people or whatever. But no, God does send angels from above to help us, to assist us, to minister. I mean, when I read that word, I go, yeah, that's their job. You know, my job is to minister to you, to shepherd you, but to minister, that means I'm on call. You need me, I got to go. Because that's my job. And I not just do it just because it's my job. I do it because I love all of you. But the angels, they'll do it. And if it takes more than one, God will send them. You possess so much power. Sometimes it's a little scary. And when you think about sometimes when you would have something happen miraculously, how does it make sense? No, God just said, I got this. Take care of it. Angels. Remember when Hezekiah had a problem on the city of Jerusalem? Scared to death. 185,000 Assyrian soldiers were outside the walls. And all they wanted to do was kill you, torture you, and kill you, enslave you. And they encamped around. And Hezekiah went to Isaiah, a man of God, and gave him the letter that King Sennacherib or the Rabshakeh had given him. And he takes and he goes and spreads it out before God. Spreads that letter out before God. And pleaded with God, as we heard in the sermonette. Take it to him. And the next morning they get up and there's 185,000 soldiers dead. Everyone's dead but one, the king. Imagine that 500-mile ride was a pretty quiet one. All your soldiers are dead. And what does it say? And an angel of the Lord passed through. One. Just one. Wow. That's all you can say. Wow. Because we're all a family. We're God's family. And God says, I take care of my own. Your kids. We have young kids out there in the youth class today. I love those kids. They're just, oh, it's so great to see those eyes that are sharp and, I know I don't have to take them home. They're not perfect. But the beauty is that all you have to do is say, God, protect them. Put your angels about them. Those angels are there to help us prepare, and they help preserve us. And what a blessing. And sometimes I have prayed about people who have passed. I didn't want them to pass. And God says, no, well, I've got this. It's a faith in him. But there's others I've seen that, man, what I could tell you some stories of where God intervened. But you know what? I believe every one of you could sit here this afternoon, but you got to get out by 2. Could sit around and share some amazing stories about God and his angels. What a blessing. But just remember this. He's there to help those obtain salvation. You might just say, besides me, you've got a bunch of ministers who are looking after you, and they're all God sent.